And we are live. You already know who it is. My name is Mike Kyle, aka the Fantasy Vulture. I have over a decade worth of fantasy football experience and have continuously competed for fantasy championships over the course of the past 6 seasons. Let's make it 7 in 2020. But enough of me. I'm here for you on today's episode of the FB Show. It's going to be our Week 16 Sunday game previews. If you have missed Saturday as well, you missed out because I gave some pretty hot advice over there. But we're going to break down all of the Sunday games through the lens of fantasy football. So if you're excited for that, be sure to hit that like button down below like an open receiver downfield. You can also smash that subscribe button like a power running back up the middle so you don't miss a video from me. And last but not least, you can follow me on all social media platforms at FFVulture. Primarily Twitter. I answer all of your start-sit questions, waiver wire pickups, trade offers, anything else fantasy football related over there. But honestly, my DMs are open everywhere, so you can shoot me a message if you got any specific questions, or you can just tweet me on the timeline. That works too. But before we go any further with these game previews, I want to thank the sponsor of this video, and that's going to be Thrive Fantasy, a great friend of mine at this point. Thrive Fantasy is this app that I am currently obsessed with. It is daily fantasy player props. It's my preferred style of gambling when I do dabble in such a thing, and it's super cool. It takes the standard daily fantasy sports format and applies it to player props. You pick anywhere between 5 to 10 per sport, and you just compete against a bunch of different people. It's a whole lot of fun. Contests, entry fees vary between different monetary values, and I've been having a ton of fun over there. You can use my promo code VULTURE to get your first deposit matched to minimum $20, maximum $50, and you can use the link in the description down below. Come prop up with Thrive Fantasy this season. But let's roll, baby. Let's roll. I was giving off some heaters of advice this week already. You want to go back to Saturday, just yesterday, said start Leonard Fournette. That came through. Start all of your Bucs. That came through. Sit DeAndre Swift. That came through. What else happened? I mean, right? Like there were Jeff Wilson, another hit. George Kittle, not really knowing what you should do with them, but understanding, hey, if you have other options, depending on what they are, probably roll the dice on Kittle. That hit. We were on fire all of yesterday. Myles Gaskin, another one that came through late on Saturday night. But let's just dive right in, shall we? We are going to kick off here with the New York Giants taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Injuries, news here. Daniel Jones is likely going to be playing in this game. It looks like he still might be a game-time decision, but all reports are indicating that Daniel Jones is going to play coming off of that hamstring injury. Golden Tate is out with the calf injury, and for the Ravens, there are no injuries to note. Starts it for this game. We're going to continue to roll out Wayne Gallman. The train's kind of slowed down just a little bit, but I still believe in Wayne Gallman's talent and what he's been able to do with the workload he's been provided this season, and I don't think this is a matchup where you should necessarily go away from. If you have maybe a better option, maybe you get Antonio Gibson back this week, that's one thing, but I think by and large, as a flex player or running back too, Wayne Gallman is a fine start for you this week. For the Ravens, this offense is rolling, and it's getting back to the point from what we saw last year. Lamar's obviously in your lineup. Mark Andrews is in your lineup. J.K. Dobbins is in your lineup. I'm still not there yet with Hollywood Brown. He's going to get James Bradberry this week, it looks like. And Gus Edwards falling off a bit, still not getting the workload that we like, right? He always has the opportunity to stumble his way into the end zone and always has the ability to split that backfield with J.K. Dobbins to a degree. But it's not enough to where I'm comfortable starting Gus Edwards in any of my lineups this week. Our next game is going to be... Oh, I should also mention this. Timestamps, all the timestamps are going to be in the description down below as well, because I know I'm posting this a little bit late, so if you're just looking for a specific game, it's going to be available for you down there. Our next game, though, is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Houston Texans. And this is where things get a bit interesting and where we're going to kick off our tilting on Week 16, right? Injuries of note here. Joe Mixon is out yet again. I don't think Mixon comes back this year at all. It's kind of been this thing with Zach Taylor where he'll hint and he'll just be very coy about players and their injuries. And we saw this with A.J. Green last year. And I think we're getting that same treatment with Joe Mixon. So I don't expect Joe Mixon to return this season. Tyler Boyd is out with that concussion. That's kind of where the big piece of information lies right now. For the Texans, there are no injuries of note. And that brings us to our start sits for the week. Automatically, Gio Bernard, I think, should be in your lineup. We know how terrible this Houston Texans defense is and has been all season long. So this is actually a matchup where I'm really looking forward to playing Gio Bernard. But there is somebody returning from injury for the Bengals, and that is Brandon Allen, quarterback of this team. And guys, I want to be so excited about T. Higgins. I really do. I want to be excited about T. Higgins because there is no other option in the receiving game, right? It is Gio Bernard and it is T. Higgins and nobody else against a piss-poor Houston Texans secondary, to be really specific, right? Their secondary is hot trash. I want to be so damn excited about T. Higgins, and I repicked him up this week just kind of as a speculative ad, like if I wanted to roll that dice. But the fact that it's Brandon Allen playing quarterback for them this week instead of Ryan Finley, who I actually have more confidence in, if you look at their games and just kind of like their game log, I want to play T. Higgins. I'll say it. I want to play T. Higgins, but I don't think you can actually do it. The matchup is there. The opportunity is going to be there. I just don't think the quarterback play is going to be able to hold up. And that's so weird to say because one of the things we point out every single year is how many different quarterbacks pour in a single game great performance week after week, year over year. I have T. Higgins on my bench. There's not a world where I play him, I don't think, just because I would be benching one of Allen Robinson, Robert Woods, Antonio Gibson, Austin Eckler over him. I'd be benching them over T. Higgins. So while I can't pull the trigger on T. Higgins, I think you can. We know the talent that he is. We know the red zone threat that he can be in his progression throughout the course of his rookie season. I'm very interested in T. Higgins. If you really want to go for that dart throw, Higgins should be in line for a pretty big work day. On the other side for the Texans, Watson's in your lineup. David Johnson's in your lineup, the most consistent fantasy player this season. Brandon Cooks is in your lineup. Kiki QT, if you want to take the flyer there, has been pouring in numbers. Chad Henson, another guy who's been pouring in numbers without Will Fuller. This offense continues to roll. This Bengals defense, as we talked about, is very meh. It's very just mid of the pack, maybe even just a step below mid. So you should be able to start your Texans with no hesitations or any concerns in this matchup. Let's move on to our next game, and that's going to be the Chicago Bears taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Few things here as far as injury goes. Allen Robinson popped up on the injury report with a hamstring injury, and he did miss practice on Thursday. Or I believe it was Thursday. Let me take a look right here. My injury report was full. Yeah, he sat out Thursday's practice. Everyone was limited on Friday. This has been kind of just a recurring thing with Allen Robinson. It's kind of a way for him to get that day off in the middle of the week. I anticipate Allen Robinson to be full go for this game and don't see any issues with him going forward. But the big injury news here is going to be James Robinson of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Breakout rookie running back, undrafted. I think he's running back 3 or 4 on the year, and has really helped people, specifically if you have been missing out on Christian McCaffrey or your running backs have been banged up like an Antonio Gibson, right? Raheem Mostert, right? Just guys who have been in and out of your lineup. Hell, even Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's really struggled throughout the course of the season. Robinson has been this guy who has given you everything you could have ever wanted and more as a free agent ad, and you aren't going to have him in the championship because of an ankle sprain. It sucks. It stinks, and I can't even imagine getting to the point where you're at right now on the back of James Robinson, and not being able to have him. Major blow. And with that being said, I'm not starting anybody on this Jacksonville Jaguars team, because there's no rhyme or reason to even consider doing such thing. You don't know what you're going to get with Devine Uzigbo or Dare Agumbawale, DJ Chark in a matchup against a good Bears secondary, like you're not playing Mike Glennon, obviously. You're not going to play Keelan Cole. Fucking stay away from the Jags, man. It's week 17. It's week 16. It's championship season. You guys are better than that. You guys are way smarter than that. For the Bears, gotta be honest, I don't want to do it. I don't want to hit the button, but we're going to hit the button. Start everybody. We're just at this point, I think, in this matchup. The Jags are currently the number one pick right now. They're going to try and go after Trevor Lawrence. They have no reason to try and win this game. Mitch Trubisky's been on fire as of late. David Montgomery has been otherworldly. Allen Robinson's super steady and consistent with the high ceiling. Darnell Mooney, rookie out of Tulane, has been balling out all year long. Just a guy who's been flying under the radar. And Cole Kmet has been improving as well. Just had some breaking news coming. We're going to get to that in just a moment later on in this preview, so be sure to stick around for that. I really think this is a start everybody game for the Chicago Bears against the Jacksonville Jaguars. It just has all the making for it, and that scares the shit out of me because I feel like I can't trust the Bears in a game like this that is so damn obvious. But you have to, right? The talent's just been there, especially with David Montgomery and Allen Robinson. And I don't necessarily anticipate, like, you're not going away from those two guys. So it kind of just then falls into the ancillary pieces. If you're looking for streamers, do you stream Mitch Trubisky, right? Do you pick up Jalen Hurts instead, right? Just these other variables that you have to ask yourself. And it all obviously depends on your league format as well. So just some things to consider that your Bears are your friends this week. Our next game is going to be the Atlanta Falcons taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. And this game is all kinds of wild. We actually have more breaking news coming as literally 3 seconds apart. So let's start off with the injuries here. Julio Jones, inactive for this game. He was ruled out early. I mean, it was like Tuesday or Wednesday when Atlanta ruled out Julio Jones. For the Chiefs, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is ruled out with that knee, hip, ankle, whatever, his leg injury, right? And the breaking news that I just got is that, let's pull this up, where I just slid. My whole page just slid. The breaking news we just got is Chiefs wide receiver Tyreek Hill, listed as questionable for Sunday due to a hamstring injury, is expected to play, but Chiefs will monitor him and be smart with him as well. So we might see Tyreek on a pitch count. Doesn't fucking matter. You are absolutely playing Tyreek Hill in this matchup. He is not leaving your lineup because it only takes one play for Reek to take a 50-yard pass to the house. Start sits for this game, with Todd Gurley's role, as we talked about last week, being removed entirely. He's not dead, but for our sake, he's dead. Still playing about 30% of snaps and just isn't seeing the work that he was earlier in the year. No Julio. Like, you're starting Ridley. Obviously, Calvin Ridley is great. The question becomes, are you starting Matt Ryan? Are you starting anybody in this backfield? Let me answer the backfield question first. I'm not, personally. If you need to take a shot on somebody, because I was asked about this on Twitter, I'm taking my shot on Ito Smith. Ito Smith just being the pass-catching running back. If anything happens, which, the expectation is that this game is going to be a boat race by Kansas City, Ito Smith's going to be getting the passing down work, and that's just going to lead to some opportunities for him in PPR formats that way. Matt Ryan. Do you start Matt Ryan in the matchup versus the Chiefs? I feel like I need to take off the Matt Ryan glasses. I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like I wear Matt Ryan glasses all the time. These rose-colored glasses, because I look at the offensive pieces that he has around him, and I'm like, you should be able to start Matt Ryan every single week, right? But the thing we know about Matt Ryan is he has the tendency to disappear when you don't need him to. Like, for example, 2 weeks ago versus the Chargers in a game that was a great matchup for him, 9 fantasy points. Last week versus Tampa Bay, 31. 3 weeks ago, 14, 15, 7. I don't think you can start Matt Ryan. I want to believe that you can, because if this game gets out of hand in favor of Kansas City, Matt Ryan's a guy who can light up the scoreboard for 400 yards and 4 TDs, and he's going to be a guy who can win you that week. But what we've seen from Matt Ryan all year long is inconsistency, and that's just not something I'm willing to take a gamble on in my fantasy football championship. But on the other side for the Chiefs, you guys know what we're doing already. We are starting Mahomes, we're starting Tyreek, Kelsey, Le'Veon, honestly, with no Clyde. Like, Le'Veon is a great play here. And I don't have any interest in starting any of the ancillary pieces. Like McCole Hardman, that ship has sailed. Demarcus Robinson, that ship has sailed. We know what we're doing here with the Chiefs, right? It's been the strategy all year long. We just trying to eliminate the odds, or we trying to eliminate the risk factor to a degree in that way. Up next, let's get crazy here for a second, shall we? The Browns taking on the Jets. And the reason why I say let's get crazy here is I was supposed to be facing Rashard Higgins in my fantasy championship. A nice little dart throw that my opponent was going to take. And I even have a note here that said Rashard Higgins is a great dart throw, a great sneaky play if you need a spot start at your wide receiver 2 or your flex option. But literally today, a report, actually it was yesterday, a Cleveland Browns player tested positive for COVID-19, and today it came out that after close contract tracing, Jarvis Landry, inactive. Rashard Higgins, inactive. Donovan Peoples-Jones, the rookie out of Michigan, also inactive. The Browns and Cordero Hodges is also inactive as well. The Browns are down their top 4 wide receivers for this game. And I was going to say that this is not a matchup where I'd be willing to play Kareem Hunt because the game script doesn't allow Hunt to be really involved, I don't think. I think the Browns win this game pretty handily, to be honest. That all changes. That all changes entirely. For the Browns, I should also note here real quick, the Jets have no injuries, so we're just going to kind of bypass that part. So for the Browns, Chubb, automatically in your lineup. You guys already know this. Kareem Hunt is now, I think, automatically in your lineup. I was asked earlier, and I can't say he should automatically be in your lineup because I was asked earlier by a friend, "Hey, I'm starting Nick Chubb. Do I start Kareem Hunt as well, or do I start Corey Davis?" And in that instance, I went Corey Davis. I just think that if A.J. Brown gets shadowed by Jair Alexander, then Corey Davis is in line to have a big game for the Titans, and I just trust the Titans more than I do the Browns. But that's kind of besides the point, just because in that situation specifically, you're starting 2 Browns running backs, and how that works, I'm not entirely sure. So I kind of like that other option of Corey Davis just a bit more because of that. But Kareem Hunt should be in your lineup. That's what I'm trying to say. Kareem Hunt should be in your lineup. He's gonna get some level of carries per usual, right? But this dude is gonna line up all over the field. I anticipate him to actually line up in the slot the majority of the game and just kind of do some different wheel route type stuff. If they line him up in the backfield, they're going to just send him out wide. So I'm really excited to see what kind of trickery Kevin Stefanski has up his sleeve for this game regarding Kareem Hunt. David Njoku, Austin Hooper, also under the radar plays for you this week at tight end, just because, hey, you're down your top 4 wide receivers. Who the fuck else is Baker throwing the ball to in this matchup? So those 2 guys as well are very sneaky plays here. For the Jets, I'm not interested in starting Frank Gore, not interested in starting Ty Johnson, but I am mildly interested in starting Brashad Perriman and Denzel Mims. This Browns secondary has not been good all season long. They're brutal by injuries, and they've been giving up points left and right in ways that I don't think people have fully understood. One of the stats my brother threw at me were in games not decided by poor weather, the Browns are giving up 33 points per game. And one of the things that we've seen from the Jets are, hey, yes, they're 1-13 at this point, but they compete and they play hard, and they have shown the ability to put points up on the board this season. And because of that, Mims, Perriman, Crowder, all 3 of these wide receivers have some level of intrigue for me this week. If I had to rank them, knowing Sam Darnold starting, I'd probably lean Jamison Crowder number 1, just because he always seems to be Darnold's safety blanket. But if I'm swinging for an upside play for a touchdown, I'm going to go Perriman. And if I want to take that super deep flyer, I'll go Mims. My order is going to be Crowder, Perriman, Mims, just really understanding the roles that each of these guys fill on that New York Jets roster. Up next, the Indianapolis Colts and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Injuries for this game, the Colts have none. And for Pittsburgh, James Conner is a full go after missing last week with a quad injury. Start sits. This is going to be insane. Okay, I'm going to let you know right now. The only player on the Colts who I am starting is Jonathan Taylor. Michael Pittman hasn't come through in ways that I've wanted him to. I don't trust T.Y. Hilton still. I'm sorry. I just won't get there in a championship. Like starting T.Y. Hilton in your fantasy championship after the year he's had, honestly the past 2 years he's had, feels really disgusting. If you have to do it, I can't stop you, but I'm going to try my hardest not to. This Pittsburgh Steelers defense is still very solid. They are a bit banged up, so that is one way for them to kind of creak the door open for you if you want to start a Colts wide receiver. I just don't know how this game's going to go. It has defensive battle written all over it for me personally, and I'm going to try and stay away from it the best I possibly can as far as pass catchers go. For the Steelers, the only one I'm playing here is Deontay Johnson, and it's just simply because of the targets. The targets have been super impressive still. He's still being able to rack up yardage. Touchdown opportunities always there. But when you look at some of the other options, with a Chase Claypool who hasn't gotten it done because of the things I've been saying all year long, he's seeing 4 targets a game, and that's not enough for him to be able to be thrown into your fantasy line because he's just going to hurt you without the touchdown. Juju's come around nicely, yes, but it's still nothing that I don't think I'm really excited about starting. And James Conner's been flat out bad. And as a result, Big Ben has been averaging about 16 points per game in terms of fantasy. And I'm just not excited about starting that in my championship matchup either, especially against a great Indianapolis Colts defense. Our next game is going to be the Denver Broncos taking on the LA Chargers, and this is where things get crazy. Philip Lindsay was placed on IR because of a knee injury today. Literally today, about 12 hours ago before I started recording this video. Melvin Gordon through the roof. We've seen it before. We've seen it a few times, actually, where Melvin Gordon just pops off without Philip Lindsay, and the reason why is because your running back by committees are fucking stupid. They're so dumb. It limits us for fantasy. What we've seen Melvin Gordon do the past 3 weeks is 14 points, 10 and 22. Yes, that garbage time versus Buffalo was glorious for many of you. Melvin Gordon should be in your lineups this week versus the Chargers. It's a great matchup for him. That being said, he is the only member of the Broncos who I have any confidence in playing this week. It's just not a team that I want to try and attach my fantasy championship hopes to. For the Chargers, Keenan Allen is questionable with that hamstring. He was limited on Friday during practice, and Hunter Henry is out due to COVID. Start sets for the Chargers. Okay. I need to keep it real here. You're starting Herbert. You're going to start Keenan Allen. I don't love Mike Williams here on the sole basis of if you don't get the big play, he's going to kill you. And that's not a risk I'm willing to roll with in Week 16. But we need to talk about Austin Eckler. And by we, I mean me. As of right now, I need to quantify this, right? You should play Austin Eckler. I currently am not playing Austin Eckler. And I know what you're thinking, right? You're probably thinking, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, why are you telling me to play Austin Eckler if you aren't playing Austin Eckler? And again, I just want to reiterate that I am the running back king. I am the running back whore of my league, and it's how I win all of my titles. My running backs this week. Are you ready? I'm reading you off the list. Derrick Henry, Leonard Fournette, Antonio Gibson, Austin Eckler, DeAndre Swift, Tony Pollard. That is 6 running backs who I could have started this week. Obviously, Derrick Henry's never leaving my lineup. I told you guys yesterday, Leonard Fournette was a smash play, and fuck Tampa, because I'm so mad about that. More on that in a different video later this week, just talking about how great Leonard Fournette is and about a game recap for the Bucs and the Lions. So I'm starting Henry and Fournette. Henry and Fournette automatically, right? They're my 1-2. Making the pivot away from DeAndre Swift was the right choice. Just had a gut feeling about that one. Accurately predicted that. So I'm looking at my flex now. Antonio Gibson versus Carolina or Austin Eckler versus Denver. And to me, what this comes down to is touchdown upside. I don't see it with Austin Eckler. I believe he's scored twice all year long. Let me confirm this real quick. I know for a fact he only has one rushing touchdown. And his receiving touchdowns. Yes, Austin Eckler has one touchdown this year. Compared to Antonio Gibson's what? 13? That's just a play that I want to make personally. For that reason. Again, if you are in PPR formats, he should be in your lineup. If you don't have that running back depth, he should be in your lineup. I just have the luxury of having options to choose from. So I'm not going to play Eckler, I don't think. But I do want to say this, and look, I'm probably going to go live on Sunday at some point before kickoff, and I'm going to tilt like a motherfucker. Because I'm looking at the points that Denver has given up to running backs the past 7 weeks. The past 6 weeks. 45, 6, 30, 9, 23, 22. I mean, good God, man. Good fucking God. What an impossible decision to make. So Austin Eckler should be in your lineup. That's the moral of the story. I'm just in hell trying to decide if I should play him over Antonio Gibson or not. Herbert's in your lineup. Keenan Allen's in your lineup. Again, not playing Mike Williams. And that's it. That's all I got for this. Honestly, cut and dry. It's the same thing that we've been using for both of these teams all season long. Next, we have the Carolina Panthers taking on the Washington football team. And when I was alluding to breaking news that just came out, it was about this game and some of the injuries. This is from, I believe it was Rap Sheet, I believe. Wow, hang on a second. Okay, things are happening. And this is why we use hashtag no free ads. The Fantasy Life app, can I focus in here? The Fantasy Life app is currently going crazy. Okay, so let me reset here. Tyreek Hill, as I said, expected to play, possibly on a pitch count. The Chiefs are going to monitor the situation. Allen Robinson listed as questionable due to a hamstring injury, is expected to play per source. Again, that was the expectation. This is where we need to go. Just dial it back just a bit. I want to flip this back up. Keenan Allen is not expected to play due to a hamstring injury against the Broncos. The Chargers thought he would be able to, but it does not look to be so. Wow. I don't know what to do. I'm tilting I'm going to move past this. I'm going to move past this for now. I'm going to tilt as soon as I hit stop on this video. So Keenan Allen inactive, it appears, for this week's game. That's a major blow. Pivot immediately. Terry McLaurin, which is actually where we're at right now, so let's go back to this game. All right. And this was something that I anticipated as well. Whoa. All right, so let's fast forward here. Okay, Panthers and Washington, let's discuss. Injuries here. Christian McCaffrey is out with that thigh, shoulder. His whole body is just hurt. So Christian McCaffrey is out yet again. Fucking bummer for all of you who waited and hoped and prayed that he'd return for the playoffs and for your championship like you got so far. But in the end, it doesn't even matter. For Washington, Terry McLaurin is out with an ankle injury. In the breaking news that I was talking about initially before I saw that Keenan Allen blurb pop in, Antonio Gibson is expected to play after suffering that turf toe injury just a few weeks ago. Turf toe is an injury that can linger, and it's always a risk when you do play somebody with it. But you look, he came out of that game on week 13 against Pittsburgh, had 1 week to recover, had a second week to recover in between 14-15. He missed the San Fran game, missed the Seattle game. And here we are in Week 16. Antonio Gibbs season. My baby boy, as I like to call him, CMC Light. He's ready to go, it looks like, for this game. And as I've said all year long, start your running backs against the Carolina Panthers. They are 25th. They give up a ton of points to the position, and trying to start anybody over Antonio Gibson, it's tough. It's tough. So I'm really excited about Antonio Gibson, just one of the most dynamic, electric rookie running backs of this year. With no Terry McLaurin, Logan Thomas should be in your lineup. And admittedly, this is where I fucked up personally. I picked up Logan Thomas 2 days ago, and knowing Stafford was injured, I really considered pulling Hawkinson in favor of Logan Thomas. The target share for him has been through the roof. With no Terry McLaurin, he could legitimately see 15 targets in this game. The Panthers, I believe, give up some kind of points to the tight end position. Nothing crazy, but it's nothing horrible either. But I ultimately rode with Hawkinson because I'm a loyalist. If it's not broke, I don't fix it. So I rode with Hawkinson, and that appears to be the wrong decision, and I'm tilting really hard up here because of that. So I love Logan Thomas this week, and it's admittedly something that I should have done myself. For Carolina, Mike Davis, DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, Robbie Anderson, I think all of these guys should be in your lineup. Yes, we know that this Washington defense is good, but we all understand that these guys have very different roles on this team and on this offense, and it makes them all startable in some capacity. Obviously, weigh out your options, but if you got to start one of them, obviously you'd prefer to start DJ Moore, the most talented of the group. But if you are looking just down the list and you got to start a Robbie Anderson or Curtis Samuel or flex, whatever the case is, I think you're fine starting them, in my opinion. Let's move over to a battle of the NFC East, and that is the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys. There's no injuries to note for the Eagles, and Ezekiel Elliott is going to be active with that calf injury for Dallas. And that brings us to start-sit here. Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders, and Dallas Goedert should be in your lineups. This could also be a Jalen Reagor game. We know how brutal this Dallas Cowboys defense has been this season. But I want to talk about Jalen Hurts real quick. I've raved about him a ton actually. You guys know my spiel. He was my favorite quarterback coming out of this class. And to see him have the success that he has so far warms my heart. I have to decide this week between Jalen Hurts and Ryan Tannehill. I have the Tannehill-Henry stack. I've talked about this over and over, how much I love it. But knowing where my team is at right now, I think I need to start Jalen Hurts for the upside swing. And honestly, truthfully, that scares the fuck out of me. And the reason why it scares me so much is my biggest fear is we are going to get Gardner Minshew. Do you guys remember in week 3 or 4, after Minshew's first 3 games where he was playing really well and the fantasy points were rolling in, and everybody and their mother told you to start Gardner Minshew in that Thursday night game against Miami, and he gave you 9 fantasy points? I think we're headed down that road with Jalen Hurts, and I don't know what to make of that. It's a gut feeling that I have. And I'm just gonna read you some of the numbers that quarterbacks have put up versus Dallas this season, just to give you an idea of what's actually going on here. Okay, and I'll read the entire season just to give you guys the complete scope of this defense. 10, 28, 36, 15, 8, 28, 16, 8, 25, 22, 8, 25, 14, 19. I should also note the quarterbacks they have faced. Interesting little connotation there. Connotation? Whatever. They have faced Nick Mullins last week, Brandon Allen the week before, Lamar went crazy, whoever started for Washington week 12, I think that was the Alex Smith game, or if that was a game where Alex Smith got hurt, I forget to be exact. Cousins went off for 22. Big Ben went off for 25. Carson Wentz had eight, right? That was the bad Carson Wentz game. Washington had 16, whoever started there. Kyler put up 28. Matt Ryan put up 28. Russ put up 36. Baker put up 15. That was a game where Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt both went crazy on the ground. The Giants, whoever week 5, that was Daniel Jones, I believe, only put up 8. So if you have a good quarterback, you carve up the Dallas Cowboys. If you don't, you do not carve up the Dallas Cowboys. And that's just something that I'm really just trying to process right now. It's like, am I ready to go through and full send Jalen Hurts, knowing where my team is at? Here's what I'm going to say. I like Jalen Hurts over 80% of the options this week, right? Let's go through the list. Let's go through the list right now. Quarterbacks, season. I want to clear this. Okay. These are the players who I'm starting over Jalen Hurts. Mahomes, Kyler already played. Actually, we should just tailor this specifically to Sunday and Monday. Mahomes, Allen, Rodgers, Russ, Watson, Herbert, ? Lamar, endless. Like, it stops there. And I really, really think that Ryan Tannehill, Jalen Hurts line, that's where I'm at. Like, it literally comes down to those two players, oddly enough. So I know where I'm starting Jalen Hurts over whom, and who I'm not starting Jalen Hurts over. Basically, if you got one of the top tier guys, you're rolling with your guy. But if you got a middle option, it's Jalen Hurts, and you don't think twice about it. Unfortunately, I am right in the fringe in between the two of them. So fuck my life. Let's go over just a little bit more here. Sanders in your lineup, Goddard in your lineup. Jalen Reagor game, just because if this defense gets shredded, Reagor has a possibility for a big game, long touchdown. You love that. Dallas, my big question here is, what do you do with this backfield? With Zeke coming off of this injury, he said he feels much better than he did last week, so that's always a good sign. You play... I don't want to play Zeke, but you have to. I don't want to play Zeke, but you have to. Tony Pollard's been the much better running back all year long. You know what? I'm going to pivot. I'm going to pivot from this. I'm going to pivot from this. I don't think I'd play Zeke. And it all depends on what your running back situations are. For example, if you have the loaded running back room like I have, where you can bench Zeke, I think you do it. He hasn't looked good this year. He's killed you time and time again. He's had 3 good games all year. Why do that to yourself in your championship when Tony Pollard has outplayed him pretty much all season long, if we want to keep it a buck? But if you got to play Zeke, I understand. I think that's like the really interesting question here, though, is like, how many people with Zeke on their team actually made it to the championship? I'd love to know in the comments down below. And then the only Dallas Cowboys wide receiver who I'm willing to start is Amari Cooper, just the guy for Andy Dalton. Up next, let's go on to our next game here. The Los Angeles Rams taking on the Seattle Seahawks here. In Seattle, injuries. Cam Akers is out with an ankle injury, and DJ Dallas is also out with his own ankle injury. DJ Dallas wasn't much of a fantasy factor going forward with the return of Chris Carson. So that brings us to some start sit here. For the Rams, Henderson in your lineup, especially without Cam Akers. Henderson's been the guy if it wasn't for Akers so far throughout the season. So I'm going to roll with Darrell Henderson here. Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp should also be in your lineup, and I lean more so, like, you're leaning Robert Woods over Kupp. Kupp's just kind of been up and down all year long. Do you start Jared Goff? This is where I don't have an answer. My answer, I don't have an answer, and then I proceed to give you my answer. I wouldn't, and the reason why I would not is because Goff just has a tendency to disappear. If you look at what he's done so far this year, he's only had a few boom games, and everything else has been meh to bleh. and just trying to trust Jared Goff in a fantasy championship even against a piss poor Seattle Seahawks defense doesn't feel like a good time. Even earlier this year when these two teams faced off, Goff only had 12 fantasy points, and that's just not, and that is going to absolutely tank your quarterback position for you on the week. I'm not willing to run that risk on Jared Goff. For Seattle, Carson, Metcalf are the only guaranteed locks in your lineup. Tyler Lockett, I'm not starting him. I won't do it. I won't do it. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times. You guys already know. What Lockett has done this season, fallen off a cliff. The targets have been inconsistent. There's been no yardage. There's been no touchdowns. You can't put yourself in that position against an incredible Rams defense in your fantasy championship. I have no desire to even attempt to start him. What you do with Russell Wilson, I have no fucking idea. Like this, there are a few questions this week that really stump me. And my natural tendency is if I can't give you an answer, I'm going to back off it. And the reason why is I would rather be wrong by benching a player than be wrong starting him. Just because with the way that fantasy points kind of work, and this is, I've talked about this before, fantasy to me, I kind of break down as a giant math equation. And with that being said, I find and I try and manipulate ways to put points up on the board to the best I possibly can. And when you're looking at Russ, they're just better options. Like I'd rather start Jalen Hurts over Russell Wilson this week. Just specifically because I know that first off, with the way the Eagles' offense is rolling, it makes more sense to play Jalen Hurts than Russell Wilson. But then also Russell Wilson has kind of shrunken back down to the old Russell Wilson of last year, and it's just not really exciting. It's a bad matchup against the Rams defense. It's a divisional game, and trying to start Russell Wilson here just doesn't feel great when I know I can get the same amount of points elsewhere, if not more, than I could from Russ. So I really don't want to start him in this matchup. But look, you do what you got to do, because I understand trying to bench Russell Wilson is mentally not fun. I totally understand that. Speaking of mentally not fun, let's talk about the game of the week and the game that's going to put me in a box, in a shipping container, in a Amazon package, and they're just going to ship me off to some third world country. The Titans and the Packers, it's a Sunday night game, and I have no idea what to do here, guys. Let me explain. First off, we'll go with injuries. No injuries for the Titans. Jamal Williams is doubtful due to that leg injury. We knew this. We're good. We're good. This is where I'm in a box, because I'm going to throw this up right now for the entire game. For the entire game, start everybody. It's crazy. It really is. This game is going to destroy my soul. I'm going to tell you right now. This game is going to destroy my soul. It's the biggest game of the fantasy season for me. Let me explain. First off, start sets. Actually, fuck start sets. I just gave you the start sets. You're starting everybody. But let me explain to you how big of a matchup this is for me. I am starting Derrick Henry in my lineup, obviously. I have the opportunity to start Ryan Tannehill here, and I've started Ryan Tannehill all season long. I am facing Aaron Rodgers, and I am facing A.J. Brown. This game is going to wreck my soul in ways that I don't think I am prepared for, and I've been playing this shit for 13 years. It's going to be the most intense agonizing and emotionally taxing fantasy matchup or NFL game inside a fantasy matchup that I can ever remember. Just chaos is about to ensue. Rodgers doesn't leave your lineup. Tunyon doesn't leave your lineup. Aaron Jones doesn't leave your lineup. Devontae Adams doesn't leave your lineup. Ryan Tannehill should never leave your lineup. Asterisks under certain circumstances. Derrick Henry doesn't leave your lineup. A.J. Brown doesn't leave your lineup. Corey Davis doesn't leave your lineup at this point. Jonnu Smith doesn't leave your lineup. There's going to be the potential for so many goddamn fantasy points here. But I want to talk about Ryan Tannehill real quick. I really just want to just take a moment and try and piece this shit together because truthfully, I haven't looked at the numbers in depth by making that Jalen Hurts decision. But here's the thing that I know. And I haven't looked at the number. I haven't looked at the Green Bay side of the number. I looked at Tannehill's. And let me just kind of read you off some of the things that I found really interesting. Teams with terrible secondaries. Jacksonville, Buffalo. Buffalo's been mad, but they've underperformed. So Jacksonville, Buffalo, Houston, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Detroit, Jacksonville again. Okay, 26, 30, 28. 27, 37, 16, and 21 versus Baltimore. Those numbers are high. Those numbers are very high, to be exact. They are league-winning type of weeks. However, Ryan Tannehill against very good secondaries and very good pass defenses. Denver, 19. Pittsburgh, 17. Chicago, 14. The Colts, 10. The Colts, 19. There is the possibility of Ryan Tannehill. Submarining is the wrong word. There is the possibility of Ryan Tannehill letting you down in this matchup versus Green Bay. Green Bay's defense has been great this season. And what it came down to for me, and the reason why I'm going to move away from Ryan Tannehill as of right now, 12:21 a.m. on Sunday morning. The reason why I'm moving away from Ryan Tannehill and something that has worked all season long is because I don't trust that matchup against the Packers. Just something about it is telling me don't play Ryan Tannehill. And again, I just told you 5 minutes ago, I am loyal to the players who got me to this point. So moving away from Tannehill, what I've called the most broken fantasy football cheat code in existence, the Henry Tannehill stack, hurts my soul so much. I want to cry going away from it. I'm going to have a nervous breakdown on Sunday night. But here's the interesting thing, actually, and I'm just noticing this now. Jalen Hurts kicks off at 4:25, which means I can see where my team is at by that point, and I can make the adjustment if I feel like I need to. So that's actually really comforting, all things considered. So Ryan Tannehill likely should be in your starting lineup, but if you pivot, I understand because I'm pivoting as well. And it's not so much a Ryan Tannehill thing as it is a Green Bay Packers thing. But here's the scary fucking thing about it. If Green Bay hangs points up on the board early, Tannehill's going to have to throw. And it's the reason why this stack works so well. Because early game it's Derrick Henry, and depending on how the game script unfolds, it's going to be either Ryan Tannehill or Derrick Henry again, right? Like it just literally just doesn't matter. So I'm gonna look up real quick. Can I go picks? Let's go NFL. Okay, so I have the lines pulled up. I think. That's Green Bay, Chicago. That ain't it. Why is... Picks? There we go. Okay. So, Green Bay and Tennessee. The spread is 3. Holy shit. The spread is 3 and the over-under is 54. And doing a quick judge of this, it is the highest over-under on the week. Only 1 point ahead of Atlanta and Kansas City. I mean, sweet mother of God. Lord, help me. I'm going to wrap this long-winded word vomit preview of a game. Start your Titans. Start your Packers. If you have hesitations about Ryan Tannehill, I get it. I'm right there with you. But even I right now have no idea what I'm going to do. And I have to decide in 12 hours. A little bit more. More like 16 for me. Because I have the option, the luxury of waiting. But I get it. I totally get it. And that's just where I'm at. Like, that is just where I'm at. Guys, I don't have advice for Ryan Tannehill. I don't. And that's chaos for me to say. I would say follow me on Twitter. Follow me on all social medias if you've made it this far, first off. But definitely follow me on Twitter because I'll probably end up tweeting out what my lineup is going to be by the end of the day and what I'm rolling with. But it's just where we're at, dude. It is just where we're at. That being said, let's move on to our final game Monday night. It's the least complicated game, I think, of the week, to be honest. We got the Bills and the Patriots. Injuries, Stephon Diggs, full go. Had the little foot scare last week. He's good. For the Patriots, no injuries to note. Love that. But start set Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, nobody else. And for the Patriots, you're not starting anybody. Sorry, won't do it. We've been down this road with Cam Newton before. Don't trust him in a Week 16. Don't trust Damian Harris. Don't trust Sony Michel. Don't trust Julian Edelman, who I think is back this week. Actually activated off the COVID or activated off the IR. Not starting Kobe Myers. Like just meh. Nope. I won't do it. I simply won't. The Bills are going to steamroll New England, and it's just going to be one of those games where it should be all Buffalo all the time here. So I'm going to roll with Josh Allen. Going to roll with Stephon Diggs. If you need a guy, an additional guy, and I hate that I'm saying this, Cole Beasley and John Brown you could point to. I don't have a whole lot of confidence in either of them, and in fact, let me just kind of pull some things up here real quick. So I think the thing that's actually really interesting to note is the target share that wait, hang on. They activated John Brown. Excuse me. I apologize. I thought they activated John Brown earlier this week. It looks like he has not been activated yet. So John Brown ankle who remains on IR, eligible to return to action in Week 16. So as long as the Bills activate his by 4 p.m. on Monday. It was a day ago. It doesn't make any sense. Right, no, I got because it's a Monday night game. Excuse me. So there's the chance that John Brown is activated. Like if you're going to start an additional Bills wide receiver, you're going to start Cole Beasley. Double-digit targets in 3 straight games. The yardage has been there. The reception totals have been there. You're fine starting Cole Beasley, I think, in this matchup as a flex sneaky option if you have to. But I think that's actually going to do it for... Whoops, that's the wrong button. That's going to do it for my Week 16 Sunday and Monday game previews. If this is your final week for the fantasy football season, I wish you the best of luck. Hopefully I was able to give you some sort of value during the season. Maybe I was helpful in making you think a different way, giving you some different approaches and ways of looking at fantasy. It's one of the things that I'm really trying to do on this channel is just do something different. Provide the insights, little tips and tricks, and show you guys how I make my roster decisions and the things that I factor in to every single week in this game that we all love. So please do me a favor, go out there and win yourself your goddamn league title. I'm rooting for you. I'm pulling for you. Tweet me your results. Tag me on Instagram and your results. And I really much look forward to seeing you guys all hoist that trophy above your heads by the end of this week. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button down below. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a video from me. And remember, people come and go, but fantasy championships are forever.